G'day, this is Coach Gaz from Juggernaut PT for Juggernaut Thoughts. We are holistic fitness coaches in Melbourne CBD, helping people everywhere around the world lift their lives and increase function and move to performance and increase their performance too. So today I wanted to talk about escapism. Everyone's heard this saying, or there's a saying that's been around that says you can't outrun a bad diet. And in terms of nutrition, it means that, if your nutrition is subpar and chronically subpar, you can't kind of out exercise that because you're missing a vital component or components in your lifestyle. But I wanted to flip this on its head a little bit and actually talk about the head. And I want to talk about escapism, because just like you can't outrun a bad diet, you can't out escape your own mind. Now, when I was a kid, I love superhero culture. It's given me a lot of comfort over the years, and it's really helped me out, as has video game culture and movie culture. I would spend hours and hours and hours down the arcade. I would spend hours and hours reading comic books, and I'm in my golden age at the moment because ever since Iron Man came out for the last 10 years, it has been like heaven for a geek like me. But there is a downside to this, and it doesn't just happen to me, and it doesn't just happen in my particular geeky ways. It happens to a lot of people, and that's when your escapism, or what you use to downcycle or pass time or escape from the world, becomes a real problem. And it's not so much in terms of the one particular thing. Fortnite is a video game that's copping a lot of attention at the moment because kids are getting lost in this massive immersive world. The problem is this: when your method of escapism becomes your preferred method of trying to deal with things, then it becomes a problem. And it can be video games, it can be alcohol, it can be drugs, it can be anything that otherwise, when dealt with healthily or dealt with in moderation, can actually be cathartic and a nice little break for you. It actually becomes your preferred method of not dealing with things, and escaping from your own mind is something you might fool yourself that you think you're able to do when you spend hours on a video game or hours down the pub or anything else, but it's not something that you're actually effectively doing. Because our mind is always there, and as much as we try to numb it with these methods, it just doesn't happen. Now, the example that I saw on a news report the other night was a kid whose family had broken up. They had gone through a split situation, which is of course common. But the way the kid had dealt with it is he started playing video games, and now he spends 14 hours a day on his console. And now it's easy for us to say, well, that's obviously not healthy, and he's spending too much screen time, and it's all the fault of the game. But he did it as a way to try to initially deal with things and numb himself to obviously what was discomfort. So I want you to think about your own life and your own hobbies now, and your own escapes. Now, if it's something that you can pick up for an hour or so, and a lot of period of time, and just enjoy for what it is. Like I enjoy. I still enjoy comic books. Yes, I know, I'm a massive man child. I still enjoy comic books for what they are, but I don't actually have a console, and I haven't had a console for a number of years, not since the Generation 1 Xboxes and PlayStations, because it actually starts to become too easy for me to get lost in that world. And if I want to make sure that I don't divest or indulge in that habit too much, I just don't have it in my environment. Now, every now and again, I'm like, oh man, it'd be cool to have that latest console. Graphics are amazing these days. The games are huge, but at the end of the day, it's not an effective way for me to deal with life. And if I don't have them around, it becomes that much easier for me to keep my resolve and decide to actually not get sucked down that spiral. Now, I still enjoy reading comic books, I still enjoy going to the movies, but they don't go through or rule my overriding thoughts. And I went down a similar path with alcohol, just in case you're wondering. All my escapes were all of a geeky nature. I went down the same path with alcohol many years ago. And time again, whenever I went through these habits, it became a matter of like, hang on, am I actually, like, what am I actually doing here? Am I actually dealing with life at the moment, and do I really feel better once I played like 3 days of video games or spent the weekend down the pub? Do I actually feel better? Is it a better result? Has it actually changed my life at all for the better? And time again, I was like, no, I don't feel better. I feel tired, I feel fatigued, I feel more disconnected. And rather than, having those emotions come up and then reburying myself in those pursuits, I break the cycle. And so now I'm very aware of that cycle, and if I do find myself in a period of stress, going down any method of escapism that starts to override my thoughts, I actually allow myself to give myself some mental space and break that cycle again. So I want you to think about your methods of escapism. I hope this post proved valuable to you and gave you some food for thought. How do you know when your escapism isn't healthy? Well, when it overrides your every thoughts and you start planning your life around it. And also when it becomes your preferred method of coping with everything in the world. I hope you enjoy these Juggernaut thoughts. They are completely unscripted. They are straight from the heart and from the head of myself and the Juggernaut team. And catch you later.